Probably one of the oddest double acts you'll see. First of all, thank you, and a huge thank you to Ladders of Life for inviting me here. And if my face looks familiar to some of you, my name is Ethna Brown. I work as an actress here in Liverpool, amongst other things. I was on Brookside for 4 years, but I'm better now. And, how to give you a snapshot of this wonderful life, 40 years old. If I get upset, it's because it has been a journey, but if I cry, it's only water. Neal was born into a very, very loving family, born in 1972. He was a wonderful child. He was a very clever, articulate. He could read and write at 4. We knew there was something extraordinary about him. The school called him the little prof. I have to make this very brief, and it might be emotional, but I need you to understand where we've been, and where we are now, and where we hope to go. And I have Neal's permission to talk about him. And we always agreed years ago that we would be as honest as we could be, so perhaps other people didn't have to go through what we did. I first asked for help when Neal was 7 at school, when signs of his amazing difference began to show. At the age of around about 12 or 13, when the differences began to be a bit more aware in his secondary school, it was perhaps put down that the fault was with his mother. This is the first of, I know a lot of mums in the audience will be aware of this. It's the mum. We're too close. We keep them too close. It's our fault. They advised and then insisted that Neal was taken away and he was put into a residential school here in Liverpool. The irony of it is that school is now used to treat people with Asperger's and ADHD. At the time, it was no more than a containment for young men in Liverpool. There was virtually no education given there at all. And this to the little prof he was sent. If I keep it brief, I'll just let you know that 2 or 3 of the people, 2 certainly, of the people who were there as teachers are now serving custodial sentences for abuse. Also that some of Neal's alumni in that school have committed suicide. There was no education. There was no real care. There was a containment. And because Neal comes from a loving family, because I was at the school a lot, because I never wanted him to be there, but I was told if he didn't go, they'd take him away from me. This is to a family, this is to a mother who was reasonably articulate, who was supported by her father and their mother. Imagine what happens to people who didn't even have what we had. But because I went to the school a lot, because I was involved very much in Neal's life there, I think this perhaps shielded Neal from the attentions that as a very vulnerable young adult he may have received. When I asked social services and people who were working with Neal at the time what happened when Neal was 16 and he left the school to come back to me, "That's your problem." That's a quote. "That's your problem." When I asked for more help, there was a particular person I spoke to who, bear in mind, had never met me, had never met any members of my family, had said, well, it was the way he was brought up. It was the way he was brought up. This is what we were given. And Neal was thrown back into life again with us. We had a very difficult 10 years where a lot of the time I didn't know where Neal was. I'm not happy with my behaviour as a mother at that time. I will never forgive myself. And it doesn't matter what people say, I will never forgive myself as a parent that I couldn't do more. I didn't have the knowledge that we have now. When the phone used to go early hours of the morning, I thought it was because somebody was going to tell me he was dead. I never knew where he was or what he was doing half the time. Whatever communication we had, it was very difficult, quite often abusive, from one to the other. A friend, as so often happens, was reading something on the internet, and she said, "I think this is you. I think this is Neal." And it was stuff from the internet coming over now about Asperger's and ADHD. We finally got a diagnosis. I said to Neal, "I know you don't much like me, but please go and listen to Jude, to what she has to say to you." And he phoned me up straight away and went, "Mum, this is me, isn't it?" Right down to the little prof. I cried when I saw that, because I recognised my son. For the first time in a long time, I recognised my son and what could be done. We got the diagnosis. That made a hell of a lot of difference to the family and how we behaved with Neal and how Neal behaved with us. I realised Neal couldn't change. I had to change. I couldn't say, you do this. I couldn't go, but I can't tell you how big that was for us. Everything changed from there on in. There wasn't a happy ending. There is no happy ending at that time. We helped set up a group in Liverpool, which is based in Olive Mount. It was a very emotional thing. I went and spoke at conferences. We were as honest as we could be. This ended up with Neal receiving a letter. I received a copy of that letter, which had a compliment slip which said, "For your information," which told Neal that they were no longer able to help him. Neal apparently doesn't have the right sort of Asperger's and ADHD that this group could deal with. I can't tell you what these blows are like to a parent. I can only imagine what they're like for Neal. People tell me, isn't it terrible that you have this, some with ADHD, you have this, some with Asperger's. Imagine what it must be like for him to have to go out every day into a world that doesn't understand him, that he doesn't always understand. How brave and wonderful is this? Listen to what these people are telling you. Neal was directed towards ladders of life reasonably recently in our life, and I cannot state the difference that it's made to us. I haven't seen this boy for nearly 3 months. I forgot what he looked like. I have pictures of him. But that's because he doesn't need me as much. That's because he has something in his life that's worthwhile and meaningful. He has a reason to get up and go to somewhere every single day that they ask him to. He was attending a day centre nearby where he lives in Liverpool. He was a leading light. He wrote their pantomimes, he performed in them. His contribution was recognised, it was enormous, and so they closed it. My worry then was Neal would disappear again from. That hasn't happened. Ladders of Life send my son texts that he just starts forwarding on to me, and I can't tell you what that means. Come on, Rocket. You mean more to us than this. We are not going to let you go. You have to fight for this. You are worthwhile. Imagine what it's like for a mother to be told by somebody else that her son is worthwhile, that he is worth fighting for. Can you imagine the terrible waste? Listen to these people, listen to what they're going to tell you. If you are working in this field, listen and learn. This isn't a textbook. This is somebody's life. Look at the waste that's here in this room before you because people haven't diagnosed it properly. They don't know how to direct it. They don't know how to use it. These are wonderful, wonderful brains. The people next to you, they are. Think of what they are going to contribute to society when they are on the right path. I can't thank Ladders of Life enough because of what they've put in front of me. Of the son that I'm now beginning to see yet again. The son that I know exists. He's witty, he's intelligent, he's caring, he has empathy beyond understanding. I don't know how he does what he does a lot of the time. It's a wonderful thing for me to be able to stand in front of all you people and tell you how proud of him I am. But what I want to say is, Ladders of Life, what does it mean? He is on a ladder. And rung by rung by rung, they are pushing him up it. Where will he go? Where will it lead him to? Make sure you're there for this group of people. Because they are making a difference. If it's just one life, it's enough. But they are making a difference to so many. Support them. Make sure they get funding. Make sure you understand what they're about. Neal invited me to come and meet the people of this group. That was big, because quite often he doesn't want me to know what he's up to. Mothers have a way. I always knew. But how wonderful is it that we can stand before you today? We have a wonderful relationship, thank you very much. We've worked very, very hard at it. Teresa and Shirley talk a lot about the terrible things in Neal's life and how he has to try and leave his past behind and move on to a future. Easier said than done. Easier said than done, but with support and understanding, where will he end up? I'd like to think about that. People keep pushing him off ladders. I've had to stand there and watch it, and I've been one of them. But he has support and understanding. He's loved by so many people now. And that's a wonderful feeling for me as a mother, to know that you're not in this on your own. Thank you to Ladders of Life from me. Thank you to all of you for inviting me and letting me speak. But listen to what he's got to say.
Right, thank you. Thank you to all my fans. Yes, both of you. Right, well, I was always as Mum says, always quite a smart, intelligent, quick-witty, and very good-looking young kid. I would say things were quite fine up until about the age of 7 or 8. I think that's when symptoms started to show, to kind of manifest themselves. I remember quite clearly at 6 years old, because my path of life began very early on. And I do remember very clearly at 6 years old, randomly walking up to the kids in the playground like this, going, "Hey, you, get off of my cloud." I guess I'm still doing it now. In fact, the ADHD talent night later on tonight, as I've said, I'm toying with the idea of forming a rock group full of people from Ladders, and we're going to call the group ACDHD. And our very first single is going to be "I Can't Get No Procrastination." Anyway, this is at, was it St Margaret's in Toxteth, you know, by the Florence Nightingale statue, because we lived in Bedford Street South at the time. There's also another instance where I had these lads lined up against the wall, showing them what to do. Right, you're the bass player, you stand there, do this. You're the drummer, you do this. And I had this big stick, and that was my microphone stand. And the teacher walked up and said, "Neal, what are you doing?" "Oh, we're being Ian Jury and the Blockheads." It's not bad for a 6-year-old, is it, man? I was always cool. Now, later on at Pleasant Street School, anything but pleasant, that's when they started getting child psychologists up to the school. And at 8 years old, Scouse kids, who's sensitive at that age? Not even me. You have to go and see a psychiatrist, you're mad, you are. And for the rest of my school life, whenever someone said, "Hey, are you mad?" I'd say, "Mad? I'm absolutely bloody furious." So then I was put into, after that it was St Michael and the Hamlet, a primary school. There's one incident that still sticks in my mind. First week I was there. We're all sat on those, you know, those benches you get in the gyms. This woman on the piano. All the kids stood up to sing, and I sort of looked around me nervously, not knowing what to do. She grabbed me by the hair and very painfully picked me up. And it hurt, and I was crying. And I went home and told my mum, and it was like, "Yeah, so what did you do?" But that's a long time ago now. Now, yeah, I know. Obviously I remember very well being put into lower league, or lower life school rather, at a very unlucky 13 years of age. One thing that sticks in my mind is the teacher telling me in front of the whole class that I was just a waste of space. She couldn't even call me a good-looking mum. Fast forward a few years, it's not just the Asperger's, it's the fame recognition aspect as well. No, don't get me wrong, man, but I'm more of a working class hero than Mr. Lennon ever was. I didn't grow up in a posh house in the Bolton. We were in Toxteth up until Mum was on Brookside. We had a black and white portable TV, and everyone thinks you've had a dead cushy. Brookside, bloody backside if you ask me. So it was 200% bad. Fast forward a few years, Mum didn't know where I was. I didn't want her to know. That's the thing now, if we do have a little disagreement these days, we can make up within 18 minutes rather than 18 months, and I've taken away, she didn't know where I was, and I didn't want her to know where I was. I'll tell you exactly where I was. I was in the bottom of a bottle of a litre of vodka every day for about 6 or 7 years, easily. I think possibly a couple of Russian distilleries went bankrupt when I stopped drinking. Sorry, comrades, eventually, getting the diagnosis at 27, you know, Jimi Hendrix, Brian Jones, Janis Joplin, these people, their lives ended at 27. Mine was starting to just start. Eventually weaned myself off the vodka, re-established a relationship with this wonderful woman here who should be given an award for raising me and putting up with me. Okay, I missed out on a school life. Watching Grange Hill was very difficult for me, but being Etna Brown's son, no one can say I was robbed of an education. Yeah? That wasn't a joke actually, but there you go, I appreciate it. So, I stopped the drinking. The first few months, I was acting as if I had terminal cancer. Oh my God, I'm stuck with this thing for life and there's no cure. But we totally turned that around, reversed that opinion, and I'm really starting to like and respect myself. And as I keep saying to the group, there must be a good psychological reason why I can now look in the mirror and I look better to myself at 40 years old than I did at 24. These days I used to see Neal. These days I see Neal. I used to see the Elephant Man. You know. But you're always your own worst self-critic, aren't you? So, yeah. Well, you see, when I was getting my life back together, you know, phase 2, remember I always used to, if I did relapse or have an argument or a fallout or get too drunk, I would always say, it's a shame that I've slid down such a huge snake just when I was climbing so many ladders, you know. And I was directed to Ladders of Life by a woman at High Park Street, Dole, and this is what's classed as my work-related activity group. I would very much like to think that Cameron can do something good for me, you know, albeit unintentionally. And since coming to Ladders, I am now at the point where I cannot possibly imagine going back into that life where I'm stuck around the flat all day or can't get out of bed, or I'm wearing the same clothes for 3 or 4 days and I'm unkempt and unshaven and that. This really is... I keep saying that at 40 years old I feel a little bit over the hill, but it's all just starting for me. I wouldn't have been able to do this 5 or 6 years ago. I'd have probably tripped over drunk or something. So I'm probably using up more time than I'm worth here. But thank you so much to Teresa and Shirley, the two Steves. Thank you to all my brothers and sisters at Ladders. And onward and upward, you know. Let's focus on the positive. I'm Neal Adams, and you're not. Thank you.
Yes, lad.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. And that's the last of our speakers. But, you know, we've thrown a lot of words at you today, haven't we? And with lots of information, detail. You know, I can't imagine that you probably remember our